Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Julius, president of Arlington Branch NAACP, and I want to welcome you to our July 19th, 2021 virtual general membership meeting. We have attendees joining. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and move forward with we're going to have an opening prayer. Rosa Dunkley, if you mind, please.
Dear Heavenly Father, once more again, God, we just want to say thank you, Lord, for another day. Thank you, Father God, for keeping us from all hurt, harm, and danger. Lord God, as we prepare for this meeting on tonight, Father God, let everything be done decent and in order. Okay, continue to bless our president, Father God, and the vice presidents, Father God, as we go forward to do the work that you have set before us. It's in Jesus' name that we do pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Ms. Dunkley. So I'm going to call for a roll call of officers, Madam Secretary.
Sure. We have President Spain, who's present. First Vice President Kent Carter. Second Vice President Sharice Kerns.
Present.
Third Vice President Michael Hemminger.
I think he's on the call.
Treasurer Roy Austin.
Present.
Assistant Treasurer Adriana Spain.
He's on the call.
I'm Secretary Wanda Younger, present. Assistant Secretary Dominique Jenkins. Executive Committee at Large Karen Nightengle.
Present.
Executive Committee at Large James Younger.
Present.
Executive Committee at Large Simone Walker.
Present.
At Large Member Carolyn Kane. Community Coordination Jacob Williams. Criminal Justice Matt Rogers.
Here.
Economic Development Megan Brew.
Present.
Environmental and Climate Justice Gabrielle Cantor.
Present.
Housing Kellen MacBeth.
Present.
Housing Tim Dempsey. Labor and Industry Maya Jones. Membership Keisha Tinsley.
Present.
Political Action Jamie Abrams.
Present.
Political Action Megan Reasor.
Present.
Religious Affairs Pastor Davis. Religious Affairs Rosa Dunkley.
Present.
Scholarship Adora Williams.
I saw her on the call.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Scholarship Jill Dewitt.
Present.
Special Events Sheila Smith. Special Events Marvin Nels.
Present.
And I saw Pastor Davis on the line, and that concludes the roll call.
Thank you very much, Madam Secretary. So I'm now going to call for a suspension of the rules. Our schedule, our agendas is a little bit different than what's in the bylaws. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda as presented and move forward. Suspension of the rules.
I move that we suspend the rules to follow tonight's agenda.
Second.
Been properly moved and second that we suspend the rules and follow tonight's agenda. Are there any questions? Any questions? All approved by saying aye or just raising your hand virtually.
Aye.
Thank you. All opposed have the same right. Ayes have it. Motion carried. Thank you very much, everyone. So again, we're gonna get right through this tonight. There are no guest speakers. This is our mid-year meeting. The committees are gonna come forward and give some presentation and talk about their committees and the work they've been doing the past 6 months, and then on to the next part of the year. I see two hands raised, Jamie and Delisha. Pastor Davis, is that intentional or there's a question?
That was for the vote. I'll take it down.
Okay, sorry about that. That's perfectly fine. Okay, I am going to take a few minutes and we're going to go right to our financial report. Roy, I'm going to see if I can pull this up. I know we shared it with the executive committee. Let me go to share here. We can find it. But go ahead, Roy. I'll pull it up while you're talking. Roy?
Gotta unmute. Okay, there we go. For the month of June, we have receipts totaling $2,397.35. Expenditures, $3,227.21. Our checking account balance as of June 30th was $14,613.76. We also have business savings of $204,841.39. Of significance is that we did make the $1,000 payments to our two PAC interns. That's it for the financial report.
We're going to talk about our balance, the balances in the accounts there, Roy. I know they're on the screen for those that somebody may be calling in.
Oh, yes, savings balance is $204,841.39. Checkings, $14,614.76. Our total at the end of June 30th is $219,455.15.
Okay. Does that conclude your report, Mr. Treasurer?
Yes, it does.
All right. Members, you've heard the reading, received the presentation of the report coming from our treasurer. Are there any questions?
Yes, I do have a question. We paid two interns $1,000
Each.
Mhm.
each. Okay, I saw one 1,000. Maybe I just didn't catch the second one.
Madam Second Vice, I think it's on line number 24. You see it? Okay, and 18.
Well, no, I see 18, and then oh, okay.
29.
Oh, okay. It's underneath the. Okay, yeah, that looks like it's got a bold line underneath it, so it looks like it's not a part of the rest of the expenses. Sorry about that. I thought that was something else.
No.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Any other questions? All vote to receive the report by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed have the same right. Ayes have it, motion carried. Thank you, Mr. Treasurer. And I know the treasurer is working or did present to the executive committee. He's has a running tally report of expenditures from January through to date. So when we come back in September, he can share that with everyone. And then, of course, get prepared for audit at the end of the year. With that being said, we're right on time at 7:08. I have a few minutes, and I'm going to take, as the agenda laid out here, just a few remarks. And actually, there's going to be a call to action for everyone who's on the call. The past 6 months of Arlington Branch NAACP, what more can I say? We've been engaged on many fronts, whether you're talking about education, criminal justice, housing, and environmental climate justice. We're building up, right? Our branch, the secretary did not give a report verbally here today, but as you can see, as of yesterday, our membership was 900. So I think we're going to meet that goal of 1,000 before the end of the year. But I am, not to sit here tonight and talk about everything. I'm going to let the committees talk to the good work they've been doing. I'm just proud that to be the president and be one of many in this branch. There's still a lot of work for us to do here and around Arlington. And something I learned a long time ago, there's no I in team, and it's one team, one fight. So I definitely believe this is a collective effort. And because of each and every one of you, we've been able to succeed. But again, there is much more to do. And so that's going to make, I'm going to segue right into a call to action. I'm glad we have Heather and a few other folks on the call, including Matt. As you may know, the Arlington branch of the NAACP, the Criminal Justice Committee, and the branch in itself have been involved in this process of civilian oversight of the police department. The county board put out an ordinance in June. We wrote a letter. We analyzed that ordinance. We made some recommendations. And it was supposed to be talked about or reviewed this past Saturday. That ordinance, the revised ordinance, did not come out. I think it was, you correct me if I'm wrong, Heather and Matt, was last Wednesday. And we were engaged with, in our, along with some stakeholders, said, hey, that's not enough time for the community to get involved and really analyze this document. Be that as it may, it's now been carried over. There's going to be a separate meeting on Wednesday. It's the carryover meeting for the county board. It's going to happen at 6:30. And the singular item that's going to be addressed is the ordinance of civilian oversight of the police department. I know I see you clapping there, Matt, but I'm here to tell each and every one of you that ordinance, and Heather, I want y'all to chime in a little bit later, when we get to criminal justice, does not pass muster. Okay, it's not what we want as the NAACP. Yes, this is civilian oversight. We got the title change. It was civilian review, but the Virginia Act as written called for an oversight of the police department. So we got that change, even though that's more administrative, but there's some other nuances associated with the ordinance, i.e. disciplinary recommendations, the composition of the board, the independent auditor. Let's just say this, the county board has not used the full authority granted in the Virginia Act in this ordinance that you're going to see and that we're seeing right now and what they're going to vote on this Wednesday. That being said, there has been some compromises. We have sent forward some amendments to it, but be that as it may, they're going to discuss it on Wednesday. One, dealing with these folks in the county government for a while, I want to say a lot of them have their mind made up already, but that's why we're here. And we need to agitate and activate and call on them to put forth a very robust piece of ordinance. So with that being said, what you'll see later on in the meeting, we're going to drop a hyperlink. That hyperlink is similar to the last one we did last month. It's a letter can come from you. It is asking the county board to strengthen the ordinance in keeping with the NAACP's position, similarly to what we did last month with a few other nuances in there. So you'll have a chance to read it. You can change it up as much as you want, but we also want individuals associated with the NAACP or our allies or those in the community to show up on Wednesday, either virtually or in person, and voice your opinion. This time in history, similar to what we went through this branch and the education committee led on SROs, this is historic. I mean, once you put civilian oversight in place, you can't go back and get a do-over. All right, so it's like speak now, forever hold your peace. So we can't come back in 2 years talking about, well, I wish we coulda, woulda, shoulda. No, it doesn't work like that. Does not work like that. So we need folks, if you believe in what we're doing, if you want to get on board and agitate a little bit, we think our letter and our position and our markup are right on point. And the Criminal Justice Committee is going to talk a little bit about that later on. I will just say this, Heather and Matt, I don't know, we probably spent 25, 30 hours in the past week working with folks in the county and the staff, and it was a lot of work. So we want to get this right because it's not that and I tell you this right here, you'll hear it later. You'll hear it in the letter. I'm not as a leader concerned too much about the morale and welfare of the police department. That's the last, I get it. What I am concerned about is the morale and welfare of the citizens in this county. And that's what trumps and that's what takes priority. And I don't see that in the ordinance. So the tie goes to the community, and the community has spoken. The PPG has spoken. Hello, that's what we need to do. So you'll get a chance to read the letter. We're going to ask you to sign up to speak or write a letter. But this is what it's all about, right? And this is what we're here for. With that being said, again, my time is limited. We're at 7:15 right now. These past 6 months have been, we've had our good days, we've had our bad days, but we've had more good days, Pastor Davis, than bad days. And that's okay. We haven't always agreed, but we found a way in keeping with the NAACP and our mission to move forward. And that's what matters at the end of the day. This is about the institution. It is not about any one person. Okay? So with that being said, I'm going to pivot. Thank you for tuning in tonight. It's 62 people on the call. That's not too bad given that the sun is still out and people are trying to move away from virtual, but we're doing really good. We're going to open up and turn it over to our education committee for the next 10 minutes to give you their presentation to talk about what's going on in education. Cherie and Simone, the floor is yours. Thank you, everyone.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Cherie Kerns, and I'm co-chair of the Education Committee. And Simone and I will tag team this talk. I don't think we have a whole lot to share, but we do have some pretty important things. I think that one of the things that the branch does pretty well is making sure that, you know, this information gets out and that it's discussed. So since January, I think probably one of the biggest things that the Ed Committee really worked on was trying to make sure that SROs were removed from schools. We have been very fortunate, worked really hard. We have a mandate to remove SROs from schools, but the way that the recommendations were written is there any way that this timer can be taken off of my screen? It's ratcheting my anxiety up really high and it's not helpful. And I can't, thank you. Thanks. So, now I've got to calm my anxiety, so you guys have to bear with me. So as the recommendations were presented, they were gaps that allow the potential for SROs to continue to be involved with children after school and on the weekends. We are now turning to trying to have some input into the MOU as that's being drafted. We believe that work has begun. We have been told that the community will have some input. We want more. So that is what we're pushing for. And we're working with a coalition of community organizations and individuals to try to begin to work with APS and ACPD to ensure that any policy or agreement involving the safety and security of children is designed with the consent of the community. And I think that that is critically important. I think that we can't rest on our laurels here because we understand kind of the history with APS, and we want to make sure that things remain transparent and that they remain above board. So we will be working and keeping you guys updated as this evolves. It's very dynamic right now, and we will we'll keep you updated on that. One of the other things that we did that was a great accomplishment was we held a roundtable discussion with our school board candidates earlier this year, Miranda Turner and Mary Cadera. And this was important because what happens in Arlington, and I know that everybody has probably heard this ad nauseum, but the person who wins the AC/DC candidate endorsement generally wins the general election as well. So because of that dynamic, the run-up to the candidate endorsement is basically our election here in Arlington. And what we wanted to do was make sure that we got our candidates into like an informal environment where we could really talk and get to know them outside of talking points, outside of the preference that people develop for a candidate. And we held a round table. We got great information. We got some new and interesting information on what motivates candidates to use the endorsement caucus. And I think that that information is going to be great as we build on discussing how this caucus continues to run and what the dynamics are, who's being denied access and who's being denied information in that process. And I think that our PAC committee is going to probably give a little more detail on that. It's one of our areas that's cross-cutting. So we are working with PAC on this, and it's going great so far. And they'll be able to talk a little bit more about that. We also, in addition to the collaboration with PAC, we've worked a little bit with the Environmental and Climate Justice Committee to bring some events forward, and that's been really great. So since the education issue kind of touches on a lot of different areas in the committees, so we try to reach out and collaborate with our other committees to the extent that we can. One of the areas where we see a potential, but we haven't fleshed it out just yet, is housing, because in Arlington, APS schools are segregated, and part of that segregation has to do with the way housing is set up in Arlington. And it also has to do with the desire in Arlington for families to have walkable schools. And having walkable schools essentially sets up a hardening of segregation because neighborhoods are segregated. So by extension, your schools will be segregated. So I see some opportunities with housing to kind of start to chip away. And I know Kellen's already probably neck deep in that work, but I see an opportunity there as well. The biggest thing that we have going on right now, and Simone, you can pipe in on this one, is that we have, I'm sure you guys have heard about critical race theory and the things that are going on in Loudoun and Fairfax with people who are attempting to essentially suppress the teaching of a full history, not just in Virginia, not just in those counties, but nationwide. We are starting to experience that incursion into APS as well. And I'll turn this over and Simone can talk a little bit more about what we're finding so far in terms of that and what actions we're planning to take.
Yeah, so thank you, Cherise. You know, they're getting hip and they're not necessarily calling it CRT anymore. I think we've hammered home that the CRT is not in APS or in any K-12 school. So they're attacking any sort of Black history that's being taught or any sort of culturally competent teaching. And so Cherise and I are working with our regional ed committee chair partners and with the state to come up with a strategy. I believe that the NAACP needs to put out a statement. Silence has not let these people go away. They've filed FOIA requests in Arlington. I do not believe that it's going to stop there. They have challenged APS's partnership with Amazon, where Amazon donated a bunch of Ibram Kendi's and Jason Reynolds revamped book for young adults stamped. And so they've challenged that, as well as speaker fees paid to Mr. Reynolds to speak to our high school students. I don't believe they're going to stop there, and I don't believe we should be silent. I believe we need to come out with a strong statement And I think it needs to come at least from the state level. So we're working on that. We have a meeting set up this week to put our heads together to talk strategy. And that's where we are on that issue. Were you done, Sharice? I could touch on a couple other things.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so we have our meeting with Dr. Duran this week. So at the next meeting, we'll probably have an update about that. But one of the things we're going to ask him to talk about is his strategy for dealing with attacks that teachers will get from these extreme right-wing people who are attacking our whole history. And so we need to have that conversation with Dr. Duran. Let him know we stand with APS, we stand with our teachers 100% in teaching the truth. We're continuing our relationship with other organizations. We're working with the Virginia Joint Coalition for Learning Disabilities and Literacy to organize a webinar in November on equity in literacy. And we are teaming up with some special ed advocates across Virginia that are focused primarily on serving Black students to raise the awareness of special education, to ensure that all our students know what their civil rights are with access under the IDEA, and to really improve the intersectionality issues, which is sorely lacking from special ed advocacy in the county and across the state. And that's all that I have. Thank you.
Right, and along with the organizations that we are working with, I would be remiss in not mentioning Black Parents of Arlington, which is one of our closest collaborators, and they partners with us on the roundtable discussion for the school board candidates. And we look forward to continuing our work with BPA as we move forward. And to wrap it up, I just wanted to, of course, say that Simone and I do not work in a vacuum. Our ed committee is amazing. So whenever you see a letter that comes out and you think it's like well thought out and well organized, we do team writing. So literally every ed committee member who has an interest in participating has an opportunity to participate as we consider policies and as we think about our approaches and how we're going to address things and how we're going to target our advocacy. So I just wanted to say thanks. If there are any members here in the room tonight, we appreciate you. Your work does not go unrecognized, and we look forward. It's going to be an interesting year next year because we're just not sure what's going to happen with this Delta variant and how that's going to impact school as we move forward. And, you know, on top of that, there's still the small issue of having traumatized children back in the building. So we'll keep you updated on that. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. And let's give a virtual hand clap to our education committee for all their hard work. Thank you for your presentation. Really appreciate it. Okay, next up, political action. Megan Reasor and team.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everybody. I am Megan Reasor. I am a co-chair of the Political Action Committee along with Jamie Abrams, and I drew the short straw tonight, so I get to give our update, but I'm sure Jamie will jump in if I miss anything or say anything incorrectly. So we started the year off with a lot of success in the Virginia General Assembly. In particular, our branch sent the most communications to our state senators and delegates, over 3,400 in response to the action alerts for the Virginia State Conference. So that was a huge accomplishment. We also attended the lobby day through the Virginia State Conference and continued a lot of advocacy work at the state and the county level and continue to do so. A lot of you may remember that we did a voter registration postcard campaign back in the spring. And since then, we have been doing voter registration in conjunction with vaccine events per national's policy right now due to the pandemic. Unfortunately, we're getting a really low turnout there. So we're hoping that National will allow us to do more in-person events soon. But also, once our new voter registration flyers have been finalized, we're going to post those to our website and all of our social media accounts, as well as partner with the Religious Affairs Committee to distribute those to local churches. So we're still going to continue the push, even though we can't do much in person. Moving over to the school board endorsement caucus that Sharice and Simone mentioned, we did receive the caucus voting data for the last 5 years by zip code from the Arlington Dems. So we are working now to analyze and understand that data and to also obtain some statewide information on partisan endorsements of nonpartisan candidates so we get a better idea of the landscape there. So we'll continue to keep you updated as we learn more. I'm sure you've all heard about the American Rescue Plan in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. So our branch president and several of our committee chairs met with the county manager on July 1st to advocate for our branch's priorities and how Arlington County spends that federal funding. And we are working right now to follow up and to continue advocating. So more to come on that. Also, you may be aware that redistricting based on the 2020 census data is about to begin soon. And in Virginia this year, that will include a bipartisan citizen commission that has to be open and transparent. So we're going to keep an eye on what's going on and keep an eye on the process so we can continue to advocate for equitable districts. If you would like to keep up with what the commission is doing, Jamie is going to drop a link in the chat so you can get updates from their listserv. They are also holding their local public hearing. They're holding 4 public hearings across the state in person and 4 online. The one here in Northern Virginia is a public hearing on July 27th at George Mason University. So Jamie will also post a link in the chat if you would like to attend or speak at that event. Hopefully all of you were able to attend our May candidate dialogue ahead of the primaries. And so now we are starting to plan for a fall candidate forum ahead of the general elections in November. We're going to conduct 2 separate forums, one for county, and that will include school board and county board, and one for state, because we have 3 state delegate races within Arlington County. The county forum we're going to hold as part of our September branch membership meeting on September 20th, and we hope to hold the state forum the following week. But once we get those dates and times locked down, then we will certainly let you know and push some communications out on that. And so that it will be a great way to learn about our candidates, but we're also doing some other great work. And so if you were at our branch meeting last month, you got to meet our interns, and they have been doing some really awesome work since we introduced you to them last month, and they're getting ready to wrap up soon and head off to school. So I just want to say before I turn it over to them that these ladies represent our future. And if what they have done while they've been with us is any indication of what they're capable of just while they're in school, then what they can do in the future, we should all be very excited about, because they have just been awesome for all the work that they've done, not only for the Political Action Committee, but in partnership with other committees as well. So first off, I'm going to reintroduce you to Melanie Thomas. As a reminder, she just graduated high school in Stafford County, and she is heading to Howard in the fall. She has been working on legislative scorecards for our elected state officials. So I am going to turn it over to her to show us how she has compiled and formatted that data, and then also to kind of give us a quick preview of some work she has done with some other projects. So Melanie, are you there?
Melanie is in a spotty area right now.
Okay.
So I can go first if that works for you.
No problem. All right. Then instead of that, I will reintroduce you
hear me?
Oh, sorry. Melanie, are you there? Is that you?
I think that was her.
It's working for now. I'm really sorry if it does cut out though. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Are you able to share your screen and show the scorecard? Here she comes.
Yes, I can.
Awesome.
Okay, so this is the scorecard I've been working on since I joined. And this is the little blurb just discussing the scorecard and why we made it. And then right here in the darker green highlight is a quick little blurb about how all the Arlington County delegates that voted in 100% alignment with the NAACP's position on all the topics and all the bills that were supported, House bills, along with the senators who were in a slightly lighter highlighted green, and they voted 94% in position. The only conflict was they voted in support of a bill that the NAACP opposes, and that's Senate Bill 1369. And then in the table, a little summary about the page records. In the green highlight is Cuisine, Patrick Hope, Delegate Alfonso Lopez. They all featured a good number of the 31 House bills, and then Florida 31. And then the senators, there were 18 that the NAACP supported, and I apologize. I got kicked and I'm not in my usual location. I'm in the car right now. I'm going to share that again. I don't know what you guys last heard, but I was still going over the patron records. Light is to our way of scoring them without officially scoring them. The green is good. This lighter green is great, but not as good as the darker green, and the yellow is okay. In the last box, there is the chief patron records with Patrick Hope, Adam Ebb, and Barbara Pavolo being the only of the delegates and senators to have patroned anything. Barbara Pavolo patroning 2, Hope and Ebb only patroning 1 each. And then at the bottom is a thanks and a note that we look forward to the 2022 session. And then there's the attached spreadsheet, which takes us to the first sheet in the entire spreadsheet, which shows the voting records, each with the 31 bills, their categories, and that the delegates voted 100% in position, with the senators 94%. They show the patronage breakdown and where most of the patroning, which category of the delegates and senators they patron the most within criminal and juvenile justice. So there's sums for each of the senators, as well as the percentages with the number of bills, the bill supported by the NAACP. For delegates it's 31 and senators it's 18. And then there's a percentage for chief patronage, which is chief patron bills over their number of patron bills. And I like it. It shows a really cool, like with Adam Levine, it shows 4% he patrons of the bill supported, he patrons 74% of them. And I thought that was a very cool marker. This shows a breakdown by each delegate and senator. This is Patrick Hope. These are his chief patron bills, and the numbers, and then these are the categories of all the bills he voted on. And these 3 tables show the categories as well as how many of these he voted on, and then patrons. The same thing with Delegate Levine, Delegate Lopez, Delegate Sullivan, Senator Evans, Senator Favola, and Senator House. All of them show it. Okay, I think I got it to work now. So I need to zoom out for this next part. This is the main spreadsheet that has all the information. It has the category that is in the different color. Each category is in different colors. See, civil rights is in red, criminal and juvenile justice is in orange. Then it has a description of the bill as well as a hyperlink to the actual bill with the bill number. Below it, it has the outcome. With this one, it was approved by CP's level of support. This one is low. The one next to it is high. The green check marks mean that they voted in support of NAACP position as it shows, and it has all the delegates listed, their office, their district, and their party, and they're all Democrats. And then the NAs are for when it's a House bill, the senators all get NAs because we're looking at the initial voting and the early stages to show where like they truly allied with their position. And the same thing with with delegates when it comes to Senate bills, there's also NAs. At the very end, there's an X. The X mark shows that they voted in opposition to MWC's position, as you can see here. But this is left in appropriations, and this is the date of when it happened. Patronage, if it would load. It did load, okay. So this checks, so it's the exact same thing as the other one, except this one shows the patronage, and the thumbs up show that they patron the bill, and it just shows a nice difference of how often certain delegates and or senators did patron these bills, with Mark Levine patroning the most. And this is a draft. It's still open to edits because there might be issues with it, but I thought it was really great. I think it's great to show where everybody voted and where they patroned during the 2021 session. And then another one of my projects I had looked at, does anybody have any questions with this?
Now go ahead and move along.
Okay. So another one of my projects I had been looking at was with tree equity for the ECJ committee. And I'm going to just show a quick website that I've been looking at to show the tree canopy cover and the cool things you can do with it. So this is American Forest Tree Equity Score website, but what is really cool is that you can look at the different layers and and it can give you a breakdown of the areas. This area right here has 46% coverage, whereas further north there's 73%. This is over where the parks are. I believe the state parks or the Potomac Park, one of those parks, but it shows a nice difference between the different areas within Arlington County. The ones that Jamie and I were looking at that were really cool were the health indexes, and especially the temperature index, which shows the difference in areas in the north versus further down where it gets hotter. So that was a really cool thing to look at. I'm still working on writing more things about this and playing with the website, but I thought it was really cool to share. And it's a great breakdown to look at where these developers, when they are cutting down trees, and they do need to spread them across the county because they need to build up more trees with what they cut down, to show where some of these trees should be going and the gap of where they are going currently. And that is it. Sorry, I apologize again if anything was super spotty. I am in a car right now.
I think we got the gist of it, and I'm seeing everything in the chat that I think everyone agrees that you've done an awesome job. And just to remind everybody again, she just graduated high school, so imagine what she's going to do in college and law school and beyond. And we're just so super thrilled to have Melanie with us. And then just on those scorecards, so everyone knows, once we finalized everything and got it all good to go, then we are going to send that to each of our state representatives just so they can preview and comment on it first. And then we plan to release it and publish it on September 1st. So thank you again, Melanie. So now I want to reintroduce you to Leonie Alder. She is a rising senior at Brown and a product of the Arlington Public School System. She has been working on some candidate questionnaires for the fall general election. So this will go hand in hand, not only with our forum, but with the legislative scorecard that Melanie just showed you. And so this is where we're going to ask targeted questions to school board, county board, and state delegate candidates to get their written responses to our branch's priority policies. So I am going to turn it over to Leonie to show you the great work that she's done.
Thank you, Megan. So this is going to be the letter that will be sent to the candidates, kind of giving a breakdown of what the questionnaire is, what it's for, how it will be distributed, and also the dates the date that it will need to be returned so we can distribute it in time. And then this is what will be sent out with the finished product of the questionnaire to membership here and available to the public as well. Really the goal, I guess I can go over before I go down to the actual questions, was to create something that was comprehensive yet accessible. that informs the voters, but also keeps the candidates accountable when or if they are elected. We have it written down right here, what they said they were going to do, what they said they supported. We have it here written down. So the questions were formed by looking at current issues in Arlington, and then also priorities of the various committees and the branch as a whole. I reached out to committees in order to collaborate with them and develop really thorough questions that would display what the candidates have to offer and allow voters to gauge the values and limitations of these candidates for themselves. Here we go. So it will be sent out at the end of July, should be completed and returned by the end of August, then sent out in September before early voting starts, and also circulated in October and before regular voting starts. Here is the first one. So this is all on one document, but can really be broken down into the county or county board election, school board, and House of Delegates. But for ease of everyone today, we have it all here for us to see in one long document. So there's a small blurb at the top of each section, kind of explaining what the positions are, why they're, what they do, really why it's important. I think it's been a while since a lot of people took AP Government, so we think it'd be helpful to just have a little bit of a refresher. On the left-hand side, you can see that's where the questions are. And within the questions, there are bolded words which highlight what the topic is, what the theme is. So people who have particular interests will easily be able to identify the questions that pertain to them or to their interests. For the county board, there are 13 questions, school board 15, and House of Delegates 14. The topics like housing or education or criminal justice aren't quite evenly distributed because the different elected positions kind of have different focuses, right? So school board has a lot more education questions than say county board or the House of Delegates. We didn't want it to be too unwieldy. So that's why there had to be a kind of a set limit number of questions. We did want to include like the most important concerns for the branch while still making it manageable and actually useful source for everyone. I'm also currently working on a project for housing and the Economic Development Committee, but I've been doing this the longest. So this is what I'm presenting to you all today. I think that's it. Oh, it'll also be accompanied by a brief election information flyer outlining the details of the election, when to vote, how to figure out where you're going to vote, and also a more detailed breakdown of these different elected positions. And I know this is a long meeting, so I think that's it for me. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone I've worked with, especially Megan and Jamie and Melanie. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Leonie. As you can tell, she's put a lot of hard work into this, did a lot of research on her own, and also collaborated with almost every single one of our committees to come up with really thoughtful and thought-provoking questions. So thank you for your work. Thank you to both of you ladies for all of your awesome work. It has been such a pleasure to work with you. And I do just also want to kind of close out by saying thank you to all of the PAC members. We really appreciate all of your support and hard work and all of your laughter. So thank you to everyone. And Julius, we will turn it back over to you, sir. And you're on mute.
All right, let's give Leonie, our two interns, a virtual hand clap. Thank you, ladies, for such hard work. Melanie, those some terrific pivot tables you have going on over there, okay? So you've been hard at it, but there's much more work to do. Okay, thank you. We're going to move on to our housing committee. Our chair, Kelly MacBeth.
Thanks, JD. We'll go ahead and pull up our presentation.
Is Tim with you today?
I don't think that he is on tonight, but
Okay.
I could be wrong. I do not see him on. Okay, well, let me present. Okay. Thanks for everyone's hard work on the housing committee thus far this year. It's been really exciting to work on a number of different issues that touch a lot of different aspects of housing and see where we can make some progress. So we just want to highlight some of the kind of more significant items that we worked on, although, you know, there's been a lot of different things. So the purpose, again, for those who aren't aware, for our committee is to study housing conditions in the local community, address complaints of discrimination, and oppose all restrictive practices, whether public or private, and disseminate information and provide assistance to eliminate discrimination in housing. So just kind of a run through of some of the major activities between January and July. So we've been working a lot on low-income tenant advocacy, most specifically working with tenant leaders as well as other advocacy organizations within Arlington County on the situation at the Serrano. I think anyone who has been a part of our housing committee meetings has heard a lot about this, as well as I think we've had some updates during the general meetings, but essentially the Serrano Apartments, it's the AHC owned affordable housing complex within the county off of Columbia Pike. And there's been ongoing issues related to tenant treatment, the living conditions that have gotten quite significant over the last several years. And so we were able to work with the tenants and other advocates over the last couple of months to advocate for improvements and changes both to the county and their oversight of the affordable housing properties kind of within our county's funding portfolio, and with AHC to ensure that they were making those improvements and changes to the building. There's still a lot of work that remains to be done, and we're in continual conversations with the advocacy organizations, with the tenants at the Serrano, as well as AHC and the county, to see how we can best serve the tenants and ensure that everyone who lives in Arlington County has access to, safe and decent affordable housing, and especially those tenants who are living in units that were built with taxpayer funding, or in this case, were purchased with taxpayer funding and made affordable through that. So that has been it has taken up a lot of time and energy of our committee, but it's definitely been worth it to try and make progress and help move the situation forward. So in addition to that, we've worked with Arlington County to add additional criteria to the evaluation process that they use for distributing affordable housing funding based on the situation at the Serrano. So we worked with them to add tenant treatment, living conditions, and racial equity criteria, so that when new applications for taxpayer money come into the county for affordable housing development projects, that these areas will receive the sort of important look that they deserve to ensure that we're incentivizing the right behavior and the right processes within the organizations that provide affordable housing in Arlington County. We also provided back in April a letter to the county with our budget recommendations. So we actually endorsed a letter from the Alliance for Housing Solutions, and we've continued to advocate with county board members and county staff on implementing recommendations from that letter, as well as subsequent needs that we've seen. We've also been working in the fair housing space. So in the beginning of the year, we had written a letter to the county about their draft fair housing plan and how we felt like it really failed to provide any sort of assurances that the county was taking the issue of segregated neighborhoods and communities seriously, as well as addressing the pretty wide opportunity gaps between residents of color and white residents within the county. So that's disparities in health, education, employment, income, wealth, a lot of different areas. And so we've been working with the county to extend that deadline so they have more time to receive community feedback and input to make a comprehensive plan that actually addresses the problems that the county itself has identified within our community. And so kind of as part of that, we've also been working with the Northern Virginia NAACP branches to advocate for the community in a regional assessment of fair housing that's happening right now, and that's being conducted by the Washington Metropolitan Council of Government. So that's a organization made up of all the local governments within the DC area, including Arlington. So we were added to the Community Advisory Committee that is providing sort of advice and feedback to that organization, their consultants, as they collect this data, and then eventually they'll be coming out with recommendations for all of the local governments. So Arlington, Fairfax, Loudoun, Alexandria, Prince William, DC, Montgomery County that are participating in this on how to address things like segregation and how to address, health disparities, education disparities. And so we're excited to be a part of that process, and we're looking forward to helping ensure that the recommendations that come out of this are going to be worthwhile, and then helping ensure that Arlington adopts those recommendations to move this process forward and make real change to improve our community and move towards a more integrated community. So we're also reviewing Arlington's fair housing investigation enforcement process to identify improvements. Through the course of our stakeholder meetings, we learned that Arlington's fair housing investigation process is not the same as HUD's or the state's, and that it's more limited and probably doesn't serve Arlington residents as well as these other processes. So we've been collecting information, meeting with the state, meeting with HUD, meeting with the county and other stakeholders to get as much information as we can about how that works. And hopefully we'll be coming out with some recommendations on how to improve that and make it better for residents who may be victims of housing discrimination. So some of our upcoming activities, we are, in addition to continuing to do the work that I just talked about, we're planning to work with Virginia's Office of Fair Housing to offer fair housing training to all NAACP members. So there's not really an organization within Northern Virginia, and certainly not Arlington, that focuses on fair housing, especially fair housing policy. And it's a bit of a complex area as well. So we are really looking to position the NAACP as at least the organization that's bringing together the other stakeholders who kind of have pieces of this to ensure that this is a priority, and that people of color and other protected classes are treated fairly, and that we're advancing their rights and ensuring that the housing market and system works for them. We're also looking at potentially organizing a virtual Arlington Fair Housing Conference this fall or winter, and working with partner organizations throughout the state and also potentially in DC to help make that happen. And then as was brought up in the PAC, we are working on developing specific proposals on using the American Rescue Plan funds for specific housing priorities. So we were looking at a land acquisition fund for affordable housing, as well as, sorry, if you guys are not presenting, can you please go on mute? So essentially everyone but me at this point, can you please be on mute? And we're also looking at strengthening and adding funding to the moderate income purchase assistance program. So our home mortgage assistance program that Arlington has that currently serves like 4 families a year, but actually pumping a decent amount of money in it so that it can serve more than 4 people a year. And then lastly, we have a series of legislative priorities that the committee's been working hard on. And in the fair housing category, we're looking at proposing to the legislature that they create a mandate around affirmatively furthering fair housing. This is a term that comes from the 1968 Fair Housing Act. And essentially, it would establish in state law a proactive obligation for all government agencies within Virginia, as well as local governments, to advance fair housing and create policies that would work towards desegregating communities and addressing the opportunity gaps that we had already talked about before. We're also working to advance protecting residents with criminal history. So in Virginia, only about 19% of the state's population is Black, but about 60% of the prison population is. And so when that population ends up trying to re-enter society, a lot of landlords currently have restrictions on people with criminal history renting in private residential units. And so, for instance, there's some landlords who, if you have an arrest record, even if you never went to trial or were never convicted of marijuana possession from 20 years ago, they would say, we're not renting to you, and that's perfectly legal. So that's ridiculous, and that defeats the purpose of reentry. And with the problems within our criminal justice system that we know about, with, it's the discrimination against people of color especially, this is something that we think definitely needs to change. So we're working to set limits on what criminal history information landlords can consider, and really zeroing in on only the information that actually has been proven through research and social studies to have an impact on whether or not someone is a good tenant. We're also looking at rent stabilization. So this would allow local governments the authority to establish annual limits on how much rent can be increased within privately owned residential units. So as I think many of you know, we have an affordable housing crisis, and rents in many places are rising incredibly fast, not because the cost of operating those units are rising that fast, but because it's a way to make a lot of money. And while we certainly recognize that operating costs do increase from year to year, there's a reasonable level. And so this would give local governments the authority to help regulate that and ensure that housing does not become unaffordable simply because people want to, gouge rents and make a quick profit and displace the residents who are currently in their buildings. And then we're also looking at tenant protection. So this really came from the conversations around the Serrano properties and kind of lessons learned. So establishing an administrative process that basically would work similar to the fair housing enforcement process to enforce landlord-tenant law in Virginia. So right now, if a tenant feels that their landlord has violated their lease or violated landlord-tenant law and isn't fulfilling their obligations, their only recourse is to sue them. And that's a huge barrier for especially low-income tenants who, even if they have the resources for an attorney, or if one is provided free, often have a lot of barriers to accessing the criminal justice system because they don't trust it. They may not have, documentation. There's a lot of things. So our proposal would basically shift the burden of enforcement from individual tenants to the state, which is how the fair housing process works. So that the state is actually doing that investigation, determining, if the law was broken, and then either working out a compromise solution with the landlord and the tenant, or if need be, going to court on behalf of the tenant. And then lastly, we're looking at zoning reform in the county. So taking steps to end dominance of single family home zoning in Arlington. So basically the product of sort of redlining and discriminatory thinking from decades ago, and looking at how we can, increase diversity and make our housing market more equitable through making changes to how we currently zone within the county. And that is the end of our presentation.
Okay, thank you, Kellen. We're a little bit behind schedule, everyone. Just bear with us. We have a lot of work's going on here at the NAACP. Again, thank you, Kellen, for such an outstanding report. I'm gonna ask Matt Rogers, Heather, Peter, and Mike Hemminger to come on the call. I see you, Heather. Let me add you. Let me where's Matt Rogers at? Matt's right here. Where's Mike's coming on? Where is Peter?
I'm here.
Okay, give me a sec, Peter.
Yeah.
Oh, get this
no picture.
No picture, that's fine, Peter. Okay. Mike Hemminger, Mike, are you on yet?
Yeah, I'm on.
Okay, you got your screen up, Mike? All right, so we have just a brief 5 minutes. Matt, I'm gonna turn it over to you. And then we can have Peter and Heather and Mike talk briefly, but let me go to Mike and then go to you, Matt, just so Mike can give a quick 1 minute update on what's going on. So Mike, we're talking about COB in criminal justice.
Sure. Good evening, Mr. President, and good evening, members of the branch. We've come some distance, I wouldn't say a long way, but we started the process about, there's a little bit of an echo, so if you could mute, thanks so much. We started about 2 months ago. We haven't realized all the progress that we'd like to see in the Civilian Oversight Board, but we have, taken a couple baby steps. So as JD mentioned, the very most important thing that we can do right now is show up on Wednesday in solidarity. If you have the capacity between now and then, please write a letter. We'd love for as many people to speak as possible, but there is strength in numbers. So just showing up and showing that the community really cares about this issue, I think will certainly speak volumes. So with that, I will kick it over to Matt.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Thank you for everybody being here. Like Mike said, the best thing you can do is show up on Wednesday. A lot of these issues that we're talking about with the community oversight as opposed to civilian, because we want to restore faith from the community in our policing. These problems have shown up. The symptoms are more apparent, but these are long festering issues. And, I think about these things in two buckets, essentially oversight and accountability. And in my eyes, and in the president's eyes and many people here, you can't have oversight if you don't have subpoena power. Even just the ability of the board to threaten a subpoena is going to make folks more likely to provide information that they otherwise may not. And accountability, if you can't even recommend a disciplinary procedure, then there's no accountability. Then essentially people are just going to thumb their nose. Yeah, these are the rules, but power doesn't concede anything on its own. And so please come on Wednesday, even if you have to call in virtually like we're on right now. I'll be there. I think a few others will be there, but please join us.
We're going to go over to Heather. I'm going to let Peter start, and then we'll finish up with Heather. Peter, you want to give us the 30,000 foot piece conversation to the membership, and then we'll pivot over to Heather. Peter, are you there? We'll go with Heather. Go ahead, Heather.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. I'm sorry. The county board has now amended its original ordinance, and it's come a little bit more in our direction, but it's not far enough. They have an auditor do an investigation of complaints, and then the citizens or the community oversight board would only review the investigation that the auditor does in conjunction with the police. And we think that's an improvement, but it's not enough. The auditor has to have independence and full access to information. And the review board has to have the power to recommend discipline and to make final findings of fact. And so that's what we're striving for. And that's the markup of the ordinance that we have sent to the board. And that's what we've lobbied each board member on individually over the past week. Heather, do you want to elaborate on that, I guess?
Just a couple of observations. I do think that we are all disappointed that we haven't been able to get binding disciplinary authority. I think we are all disappointed that we don't have really strong, solid, even on, sorry, that's one of my little friends. We don't have solid verified support from every member on the board, and even the members on the board that we do have support for our marked up version, we aren't going to know what of our and in our markup we've made some concessions short of what the Virginia legislature authorized counties to do, and so we've made those are huge concessions. And as of last night at 9 o'clock, when we got off last night's call, I don't think we have a real clear picture what we're going to get 3 votes on for each one of the line items that we have marked up in the ordinance that's going to get voted on Wednesday. And so it is so immensely important that you send this letter ASAP, the call to action letter. We need to absolutely flood the board with our voices. Even if you're speaking on Wednesday, get the letter in tonight, tomorrow morning. This is still a work in progress, still a lot of moving pieces, and they need to hear from us. They've heard from me, they've heard from JD and Peter and Mike and Matt, but they've heard from us a lot, but they need to hear from members and people who haven't been on these Zoom calls. Please, please, please.
Okay. Well, thank you. Again, we can take a full 30 minutes to talk about, COB, but just like I said at the onset of this conversation, the Criminal Justice Committee, for those who don't know, the first vice president, they had the PPG group, work group, had several other additional meetings since June 10th that he's been involved in. So again, we have about 48 hours. So the links are in the chat. You can register to speak and you can review the ordinance. We also put that in the chat. You can also sign up and send the letter or adjust the letter accordingly. With that, we seek your support. We're going to have support from our allies and some of our other groups here. The next 48 hours are going to be very important. So let's put the pressure on. Heather, you have one more thing before we move on?
One more thing. If anyone, I'm going to put my email address in the chat. If anyone has additional questions and you want to reach out to me, I have time tomorrow to respond. If you want to do phone call, just reach out. It's, I think, important that Yvonne, the link, JD has put the link in the chat. So I'm going to put my email address here. If anyone wants to ask me any questions, I'm happy to give you some guidance on where we are, where we're going, and where we've come from.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Vice Chair Rogers, third VP. I know it's been definitely a lot of work going on, a lot of hours, so appreciate you. Thank you very much. Next up, we have our Environmental and Climate Justice Committee, Ms. Gabrielle Cantor. We may run a little bit long tonight, but keep in mind, y'all, we're off in August, so we won't have a meeting. Everyone can go out and have fun. Gabrielle, excuse me, Environmental and Climate Justice, you're here. Okay, I see you.
Yes, hi. Can I share my screen?
Yes, you may.
Okay. Here we go. Let's do that. And so I'm gonna do Yes. Okay. Perfect. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining tonight. I'm just going to give a quick recap of what we have been doing this year in the Environmental and Climate Justice Committee. Just for context, we began our committee last year. And so this has been a whole year of us working on different stuff, although this recap is just going to be of the past 6 months. So this year we set our priorities to be 3 things. We've got the tree canopy, we've got energy and climate, and then we have air pollution and transportation. In order to meet these 3 priorities, we've done a bunch of different things. First and foremost, for the tree canopy fund, we've been involved with different conversations and trying to figure out systematically how we can make this tree canopy fund more equitable. We've also been participating in some specific targeted outreach activities. And so if anyone is interested in learning more about that, you can always contact me in the chat. We've also been advocating for more equity in the Arlington's upcoming forest management plan. They took some feedback early on in the year and are going to be coming out with a draft. And so when that comes out, we're going to be commenting on that. As far as energy and climate is concerned, the major ticket item that we did so far this year is with the Community Energy Plan Implementation Framework. We commented on that to advocate for more equity in that document, and also doing some general sort of research and environmental in energy and climate actions that we want the county to be taking. And lastly, we wanted to talk about air pollution and transportation, because I would argue that air pollution and transportation is one of the most widespread environmental justice problems in the nation, and I feel that this is a large issue in Arlington as well. So we had to just really sort of sink our teeth in this issue and figure out where we would want to sort of expend our efforts. We've been exploring the electrification of both the APS, which is the Arlington Public Schools bus fleet, as well as the county's bus fleet. And those issues are particularly concerning for us. And so not related necessarily to our priorities, I wanted to also just talk about some of the other things we were doing. We had 3 bird naturalist walks at the beginning of this year in the spring. There were about 6 to 10 attendees at each event, and we thought it went well. We want to try to figure out how to be more successful in the future, but we appreciate everybody coming out and volunteering their time. For those people, that's what this photo is on the right here. We also had an environmental sustainability symposium where we it was a webinar, and we focused a lot on the co-ops around the country, different things that communities are doing in order to have sort of grassroots sustainable organizations. And we have that on YouTube as well. So if you're interested in seeing that, we can also send you that link. I also wanted to do a little shout out to Melanie Thomas, who was the intern earlier on this call. She has been putting together some information for the website and some advocacy materials. She's doing a really great job, and I'm really excited to show you all when we've got our finished product for that. And then, of course, there we go. And then lastly, I wanted to just sort of mention a few things. I wanted to thank all of our committee members. We have about 6 to 8 attendees every meeting, some of whom are regular, some of whom are new, and we always appreciate everybody for your participation. So thank you so much. We have done 2 presentations of note. One was with the Arlington Natural Resources Advisory Group, where we talked about equity with their programming at Arlington County. And then also we did a program with our Alexandria Public Library Education Series about environmental justice. And lastly, we have connected with a lot of different organizations in Arlington, environmental and otherwise, some of our other committees, as we've mentioned on this call. And so that has been really great to sort of network and figure out where we want to be focusing our efforts and who we can connect with as allies. So that is it for me, and I'm going to yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Chair Gabrielle. Great presentation. Is Al Forrester your member on the call, Gabrielle, the young lady?
I don't believe Miss Melody Mobley is on the call, no.
Okay, yeah. You may have seen, you want to speak a little bit about Melody Mobley? I know we shared this with our membership about her background and that she's now a member of your committee.
Yeah, so Melody was one of our two leaders of our naturalist series. She was the first African-American woman forester in the Natural Forest Service, I believe. So a lot of words. I apologize if I got any of that wrong, but you can see that on the article that was sent out. So she led a presentation with our Birdwalk series and has been really great asset in that regard. So when we do have our future series and she's going to be leading some of those, I definitely recommend people join because she's done some really good presentations for us. But yeah, just really great connecting with different people such as Melody who, you know, may not be aware of the sort of interest there in our community.
Thank you so much, Gabrielle. Thank you very much. And next up, our Economic Development Committee Chair, Megan Brew. Look at her. She's already sharing. Go ahead. The floor is yours, Madam Chair.
I'm ready to roll. So hello, everybody. My name is Megan Brew, and I am the chair of the Economic Development Committee. What you see on our screen is a bit of a chart around our mid-year progress. We kicked off the committee in January. So we spent the first quarter really focusing on exploration, connecting with stakeholders in the community to better understand how we could support, which then yielded these 3 goals. So the first goal, identify opportunity for a revolving loan fund for business owners of color. Thus far, we've identified some corporations with funding interests for small business owners of color. And then we recently connected with the county manager to discuss budget priorities for the American Rescue Plan funding. And there does seem to be some money potentially for a revolving loan fund in Arlington. So one of our big conversation topics for our meeting on Sunday evening is thinking about how we want to influence to ensure that that revolving loan fund has particular attention to small business owners of color. Second priority is to promote policies to support legacy businesses to avoid displacement. So this was an education opportunity for our committee. So we invited in Dr. Elizabeth Morton, who is a local expert on legacy business policies in cities across the US, to give us her read on legacy business policy best practices. And then shout out to Leonie, one of our summer interns for the branch, who is currently finalizing a deep dive on legacy business policies in some of the key cities that Dr. Morton referenced so that we can benchmark and again influence on some of those policies to be shaped in Arlington. The last one, and perhaps the most hands-on approach thus far, is we are looking to publish a list of businesses owned and founded by people of color on our website and promote those to our membership. So we have pulled together a list of minority-owned businesses in Arlington. And right now our committee members are conducting outreach to those business owners so that we can better understand their needs, ways that we can support and collaborate with them. So excited to hear back from some of those folks and review some of those findings and interactions at our meeting on Sunday. So with that said, if you want to connect with the committee, please feel free to reach out to me. I will drop my email in the chat. And just in the interest of time, happy to yield the rest of my time. I guess final shout out goes to my committee members who are on the line. So thanks so much for all your hard work, y'all.
Thank you, Megan, for an outstanding report. If you're interested in economic development and what's going on over there, which is a lot, please reach out to Megan and her team or our branch secretary, and we'll link you up. When do you meet, Megan? When are your meetings?
We meet on the last Sunday of the month at 7 p.m. So we got one this Sunday.
That's right. All right. Thank you, Megan. Okay, next up, we're gonna have membership committee briefly come on. Former Secretary Keisha Tinsley, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
There she is, the one and only. Everybody knows Keisha.
I hope not.
You were the secretary for like 20 years, Keisha.
I hope not. And a horrible membership chair.
Go ahead.
Well, hello everybody. I know you haven't seen me for a while and a couple months. It's been a lot of stuff going on my personal end, as usual sometimes, and it was really rough this year. Anyway, thankful to be here tonight. My main reason for definitely making sure I come here tonight is that next month, the Arlington County Fair will be going on, and we would like to purchase a table. Of course, we have the extra permission. This table will be manned for probably about 2 days, the Friday and Saturday of the fair, so that we can do a membership drive and try to get some more folks. Last night, the Madam Secretary, which I appreciate her so much, she's wonderful. She pulled the Salesforce numbers for membership, and we're at 900. So we would like to get to 1,000 before this year is out. And there are about 60 people who have not renewed. So if you're one of those people, please renew your membership. And that's pretty much all I have. We are supposed to meet every second Thursday of the month, and it has been falling behind. So if anybody wants to join the membership committee, I'll drop my email in the chat. Please let me know. That's usually the committee that have the less members in it, because it's not easy. Okay, so thank you guys. Good seeing you guys.
It's good seeing you again as well, Keisha, and wish you the best of health. Thank you for coming. Like your hair. Really like your hair. Of note, the executive committee yesterday did approve the earmarking of monies for to participate and get a table at the fair. There was a deadline. So we are, just to let you know, full transparency, we're going to be working with the county to see if I know we're a little bit behind, but see if we can still get a table at the fair. So just monitor your emails, more to follow. But if you're interested in coming to our table, we're not only going to do membership there, we're also going to have some lit about the NAACP and some of the things we've been doing over the past year and how you can participate with us. With that being said, we're going to move on to the scholarship committee. Ms. Adora Williams, Karen Nightengle, and Jill Dewitt. The floor is yours.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So I'll be checking in for scholarship tonight. Our scholarship committee has been busy this first half of the year. So the early part of the year, we were just focusing on kind of regrouping, grounding ourselves, doing some brainstorming for our vision for the scholarship program and where we wanted to go, some strategic planning for the future. We had a couple of main focus areas, which was the 2021 scholarship process. So getting the application out there, our process for how we were going to collect the applications back, how we were going to review them, and eventually grant scholarships. The other focuses we have are kind of the future of our scholarships, where, how do we envision expanding and moving past, we have a vision of moving kind of past giving out money and being able to wrap more resources and kind of become a village for our youth in Arlington. The student engagement, how do we hold on to our recipients, and then donor engagement. We need to keep the money flowing. So we need to, we've been working on ideas for that. For this year's process, we granted close to $60,000 in scholarships. We recognized 9 students at the general meeting last month. You guys were introduced to Joanna Agboka, Chelsea Figaro, Abel Galetta, Alex Hall, Kira Harrison, Elena Ogby, Riley Porter, and Belen Tesfaye. And those, they were our students who we recognized receiving scholarships. We just had one missing. So tonight I wanted to just introduce to everyone Celeste Clark, who is the final recipient. She's a student at, well, not a student, a graduate of WNL High School. She plans to go to Duke University to study biology and sociology with the future goal of becoming a surgeon and working in racial equity in medicine. So another remarkable student here that we wanted to make sure that we publicly gave her roses and congratulated. So I just wanted to bring her up so that we can do that final scholarship reveal. And of course, I did not do Leah justice in how she presented everyone else, but pinch hitting for her. So as we said in the last meeting, we had some very remarkable applicants across the board, not just our recipients. It was an incredibly difficult decision to narrow down to those students. But we have big plans for a scholarship program going forward. We really want to kind of keep up the impact that we're having and expand the impact that we're having for our youth here in Arlington. We have so many talented and wonderfully wonderful students with so much potential. So to that end, we have a call. I guess I'm going to shift a little bit from reporting to actually coming out and saying, we would like the branch to really engage with scholarship. We have a call for what I'm calling the 3 M's: mentors, members, and money. We put out a call recently for mentors for our scholarship recipients. So we'd love to match you if you want to share your wisdom and share your knowledge, your life lessons, be a part of a student's, growth and journey in college. We really want you. We are looking for anybody. Our students want mentors in their fields, in their colleges. And if we can get enough, we would love to be able to expand offering mentor pairings to some of our other applicants that didn't receive scholarships. So if you have an interest in being an impact in these students' lives, please reach out. I'll drop the Google form that went out to everybody by email. I'll drop that in the chat when I finish. The next thing is members. We got some ideas and we have some things on tap. We'd love some members. So if you want to work with us, if you want to help us expand this program, we want NAACP scholarship program to be known as a resource as well as a scholarship. So if you want to work with us, please reach out. We want you. And the last thing is money. We want to keep up this trend of being able to give students in our community. We know we have, big donations from Amazon and other partnerships, but at the end of the day, the scholarships can't run without money. So, and the scholarship committee, and I, on behalf of the scholarship committee, we ain't too proud to beg. So if you have time, talent, or dollars that you want to donate to the scholarship efforts of our branch, we want you. Reach out and help us really support and build a village around these phenomenal students that we have. I mean, if we just had, some of the student applications had such wonderful stories and amazing, our students are just doing amazing things. We want to be a part of the village that's helping them grow and succeed. So give me your time, give me your talent, give me your money. You can go to the branch website to donate. You can email the scholarship committee if you want to join us. And that's all I have. Jill or Karen, if you had anything to chime in, feel free.
Why would I mess up an excellent presentation?
Okay, well, thank you, Adora, and the entire scholarship committee for the hard work. And kudos, of course, to all of the applicants. We have a great pool of students who we selected this year. Again, we're a little bit behind schedule. Maya's not with us tonight, but I know one of the members of the committee is here, Virginia Diamond. Virginia, you have any words to say as it relates to labor and industry, or we can move on to religious affairs? Any comments?
Hi. Well, we're working. Maya's doing a great job leading the committee, and so we're still kind of in the process of developing a program, and we'll report back to you next time, I'm sure.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Kudos to collective bargaining, right? All right, we're going to move over to our religious affairs. Pastor Davis.
Good evening, everyone. We're grateful to be able to make this report, myself and Ms. Rosa Dunkley and the other members of the Religious Affairs Committee. We've only started this year, so we're still putting our priorities in place, and we are definitely soliciting volunteers and workers on the committee. So if you are interested, you do not have to be a pastor or a church leader. You simply have to have a heart for the NAACP and for God. And so I want to share just a few things that we have been able to work on this year. As you all know, we began with the vaccination efforts. What was presented to us was that the African American community and other persons of color were resistant in Arlington County to taking the vaccination. I do not believe that is true. There's a small percentage, but not as true as it was perpetuated throughout the county. However, we did work very hard on that, made sure that all of the churches that are connected to us had that the complete vaccination committee partnership on their websites and shared it during worship experiences. In my other role as the president of the Arlington Black Clergy, all of the African American pastors came together and made a PSA that was shared in our worship experiences, asking people to go get vaccinated. This committee worked hard and partnered with the churches. And because of that work in the last 4 months, we have secured 16,842 appointments for vaccination. And out of the 2 churches that are holding clinics that are connected to us, 7,129 persons have received vaccination. So that is a tremendous effort that has taken place because of so many people who have worked hard and work together. And so we're grateful for that. We've also sent letters to the various churches and other faith communities asking for a representative from each one of them to be a part of the Religious Affairs Committee. And that way, even if people are not members of the NAACP, they will know what we are doing as a branch, and it can be shared with each one of the faith communities in the months that are to come. So we're hoping that we will have those representatives in place in the fall, and as we start 2022. We will be able to share that information, whatever comes from our meetings, to tunnel that into each one of the faith communities as well, so that people are aware of what all of the committees are doing, because this branch is working very hard. We also, Ms. Rosa and I have both attended the Virginia State Conference Religious Affairs meetings at different times. I am on the committee that's helping to host the meeting with the National Religious Affairs Chair, which is Reverend Gina Stewart. She'll be coming to Virginia to talk to us about religious affairs and ways that we can help our local branches and our state to increase in awareness and membership and in voter registration efforts. I was able to sit in on a meeting that the Housing Committee was doing, as well as our presidents, about those who residents who are going through such turmoil at the Toronto. And as a result of that, we did put together small gifts for them, and we were able to provide ecumenical prayer books and little small gift bags that had snacks and things like that, just to say we care for you, and information in there as well about the NAACP in prayer. The only thing that we are working on in the days that are ahead right now is a prayer breakfast. Our tentative date is October the 2nd. It will be virtual, and we're looking to include various faith communities in that time, so that we might pray for our community at large and foster unity between all of the faith communities that are represented here, as well as some of the people in our area that definitely need to see the unity that we have, not only in the NAACP, but amongst different ethnicities as well. So that is coming up. You'll get more information as we have an opportunity to work on it. Our meetings are held on the second Tuesday of every month from 5 to 6 p.m. by Zoom. So if anyone is interested, please reach out to me or Ms. Rosa Dunkley, who is also on here tonight. We're grateful for the support of our president and everyone here in the branch.
All right. Thank you, Reverend Pastor Davis and Sister Dunkley, for your hard work and determination. So we really appreciate what you've been doing on behalf of the branch. That brings us to our last committee tonight, special events. Marvin, are you on?
Yep, I'm here. I definitely wouldn't miss this opportunity. I don't get a chance to speak thereafter. So yes, for the past couple of months, we've been working with the Arlington Food Assistance Task Force. So I'll say this: if you or somebody you know is in need of some food assistance, is there. Send an email to the secretary and she'll forward to me, and I can provide you a point of contact for somebody who may help. And the second thing I want to mention is we have begun the preliminary phases of starting our annual Freedom Banquet planning. If anyone is interested in joining the Special Events Committee, you can also send an email to the secretary or myself, and we will gladly add you to the committee. Any future meetings will be planned as needed. It's coming up, so keep an eye out for it. And I want to use my whole 5 minutes, Jay. I gotta be honest with you.
Go ahead and use your 5 minutes. We don't come back. Go ahead and use your 5 minutes.
I won't do that. I'll make sure we still a little bit.
We're way past time. Go ahead and use your 5 minutes.
I'm finished. I'll defer my time back to you.
Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. Nils, and appreciate all the work that you are doing, and that of the other folks that are going to be working as we move forward on our virtual Freedom Fund Banquet this year. With that being said, we are about 10 minutes over. That's not too bad. We missed 1 or 2 committees, but I think for the most part, we have covered all of our committees, had an opportunity to speak tonight. If you are interested in joining a committee, if you're not a member of the NAACP, I don't know why you aren't already. But anyway, if you want to be a member or join one of our committees, please send an email to the secretary. You can go to our website, hit us up on Facebook. We can use you on these committees. You see the body of work that's going on. It's a lot. And again, none of us are getting paid for this. We do it because we love it and we're making a difference. So that concludes the meeting. We will come back in September. We will not be meeting in August. There's a few events we do have. We have some program with the scholars and things like that. But as far as a general membership meeting, we will not have one next month. Early on in the year, we talked about this, and we're going to give our chairs and just members of the branch an opportunity to kind of get some R&R, some self-time, self-care, R&R for the month of August, and enjoy it, and come back in September and be ready to rock and roll. So the link to the letter for the county board has been put in the chat multiple times. Like someone said, I think Jamie stated, we have a way to monitor it. We know how many people have participated. We have 64 people on the call right now. So guess what? If 50 people decide to hit that click and put in their address and send it, we will get 60 letters, sent just like that. So I would encourage you to hit that link now, save it. You can read through the letter. You can actually change it if you want to, but it's very important. It is very important, not just for the NAACP, Alderman for Justice, all of our other allies, those that can't be on this call, those that perhaps don't have a voice, and look to the NAACP and leaders like each of you in the community to be there for them in times like this, because this is, again, history. And what policy goes in place on Wednesday is the policy. All right. So I'm going to be there in person, but I'm only one person. You can go there virtually. You can do that. You can come in person if you want to, but I wholeheartedly believe that the county board again needs to take this provision to the full extent granted by the General Assembly in the Virginia Act. And that's not what's occurring, y'all. That's not what is occurring. All right. So I tell folks all the time, you need to wake up and smell the coffee. We've had a number of issues going on in this community. We've had racial profiling. Make no mistake about it. There was no civilian review board at that time that we can go to. We've had 5 folks, and I'm saying this is a little bit different. It's criminal justice side and perhaps some, I didn't say criminal justice, but we've had people die in the jailhouse. Minorities, Black folks. 5 in the past 5 years. A lot of folks don't talk about that, but I know, the NAACP knows. Because I will say of the racial profiling event, how many of you think people that look like you and I and others, regardless of are timid and afraid to walk around the neighborhoods? The person who was racially profiled hasn't got the first apology from anyone in the county. That's a problem. That's a problem. And this guy was a highly decorated military veteran, Capitol Hill police officer, and has been radio silent. If we had a civilian oversight board, guess what? Then that person going to make a complaint. We can peel this onion back and find out what really happened. Someone needs to be held accountable. We should not allow that to be happening in Arlington County, Virginia. And those that remain silent and those fail to do anything about it are part of the problem. I don't bite my tongue for much. Again, if not me and not you, then who? People are counting on us to be champions in this social justice, civil rights movement that's been around, at least for the NAACP, 112 years. It's not good enough to take a $30 membership out, and I know I'm preaching to the choir, but that's not good enough, y'all. That's not gonna cut the mustard. We need more. We need voices. We need you to write letters. We need you to show up. Even if it's just for 30 seconds, to say you support the citizens in the NAACP and civilian oversight. Need that. That being said, that there's nothing, I'm going to stay on like I always do for 15 minutes or so, but this officially ends the meeting. I'm going to stop recording.